What's going on, everybody? Welcome to From Philly to Cali podcast. It is Saturday, March 20-something. So I'm back in the Bay Area now, and I had postponed my flight from Los Angeles to San Francisco. Originally, I was supposed to fly back last week on Sunday, and that didn't happen, so one of the reasons why I didn't is because I ran into Don Barris at the Comedy Store. I had been making regular appearances at the Comedy Store just to kind of network and maybe get some spots in. And like I said, I did my first stand-up at the Comedy Store for, I don't know, maybe about 6 minutes, 8 minutes with another comic on stage right before Don Barris was about to go on stage and close out. And again, if none of you know who Don Barris is, he is the audience warm-up for Jimmy Kimmel Live, and he's also the closer at the Comedy Store every single night. Yeah, so I was in West Hollywood or Beverly Hills for roughly 2 weeks, give or take, just under. And I was originally supposed to just stay there for maybe 3 or 4 nights, but it ended up being a longer stay, just so that I could make it to the Ding Dong Show, which Don Barris hosts on Mondays at the Comedy Store. And so I could also make it to, I believe I want to make it there on Tuesday as well, totally forgot I was going to be there for Tuesday. Anyways, I showed up to I didn't show up to the first Ding Dong Show, but I did see Don Barris on a Thursday night, which was a week after me actually being in the Los Angeles area. I decided to postpone my stay a little longer from Sunday, because I flew in on a Thursday and I was planning on staying there till Sunday, and then I actually ended up lengthening it to the next Friday. So it was just going to be 8 days originally. And then out of spontaneity, I kind of woke up from a nap and I went to the Comedy Store around 1 in the morning. And luckily, and faith had it that I ran into Don Barris, the man himself. Like I said, I've been following this guy's work for about 9 years now, and I was an extra in a film with him, Mike Judge, Perry Caramello, Walter Malinsky, Earl Skakel from Benchwarmers, and I believe Earl Skakel is also going to be in the new Hulk Hogan documentary with Chris Hemsworth movie. And who else was in it? And Mike Judge and Andy Dick. Anyways, I show up, and that was the same night that I did my first little stand-up piece, where one of the comics called me up on stage because I was wearing a sleeveless shirt. And he called me up, and it wasn't really that large of an audience, probably 10 people, give or take. And yeah, I mean, it was pretty easy. I didn't have anything prepped for comedy. Am I funny, like I said? I mean, I got stories to tell. More people laugh at me than with me. That's probably the truth. But I'm sure if I thought up some material, I invested some time into thinking up some good stories to tell an audience, maybe it would eventually snowball into something of substance. But no excuses. I mean, if that's something I want to pursue, I got to be more prepared. So I went there, and I was on stage with the other comic for maybe 6 to 8 minutes, went off stage, and then Don Barris got called up. So Don Barris was talking for a little bit, and he had mentioned something on stage, and then I chimed in, and I mentioned someone from the Big Three. Terrifying Tim is what I said. And then Don asked who I was, and he called me up on stage. So, luck or destiny, whatever you want to call it, I'm on stage with Don. Don doesn't remember me from 2014. Granted, Don meets every face in the world, basically. He's the audience warm for Jimmy Kimmel, so he's constantly meeting tons of people within the Hollywood industry. So, how he would even remember my face, I mean, it would really just kind of playing the lottery. But I went up on stage with Don, and we kind of hit it off right away. And it was me, Don, and then Don also called another kid up on stage who was sitting in the audience of the Comedy Store. If none of you are familiar with the Comedy Store, it's off Sunset Blvd in Los Angeles near West Hollywood. You got a couple of rooms. The ones that I can think of off the top of my head are the main room, the belly room, and I think there might be two others as well. But it's one of the OG comedy places like in the area, responsible for the careers of, like I said, like Jim Carrey, Robin Williams, Jerry Seinfeld, Joe Rogan. You know what I mean? That infamous Joe Rogan scene, or famous, whatever you want to call it, where Joe Rogan calls out, who is it, Mencia, for the jokes that he said. I mean, the Comedy Store is famous for that whole movie with Joe Rogan. Brian Redband was the one that filmed it, and yeah, I mean that's pretty much where most of that stuff's happened. Andrew Dice Clay, who's another one? Bill Hicks, I believe, was another person that used to do that. Roseanne Barr, a whole bunch of people. You know what I mean? Anyways, so we're talking on stage, and then it got to the point to where Don was finding out more about me, and it's luck have it again. He told me that he wanted me to show up for the Ding Dong Show, and I did. And the Ding Dong Show is every Monday in the Belly Room at 10:30 p.m. So I showed up, and I had a couple drinks in my system. I had a couple beers and a little bit of whiskey. Tried to warm myself up before I went on stage in front of probably about 50 people. Tony Hinchcliffe was actually in the crowd too at one point, and I actually did call his name out on stage. Kind of looked like an idiot, but whatever. So I went on stage, and it was fun, but at the same time it wasn't my best performance. I crossed into other people's lane when I should have stayed in my own, and yeah. But I mean, overall, I'm very fortunate and happy that I had the experience with Don Barris, because he's one of my comedic influences, and I'm not just saying that. He actually doesn't get enough credit, in my opinion, and I mentioned that to Don. Don's been at the Comedy Store since the 80s. I thought it was 1988, but it's probably been earlier than that. So yeah, I did the Ding Dong Show. Ding Dong Show is probably about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours long. And another person that's really helpful during the shoot is Maryjane Green. She is an amazing person that's always doing so much of the background work and for the Ding Dong Show, and for Don Barris, and she's amazing as well. So thank you all to the Ding Dong cast and crew for letting me make a little cameo, even though I overstepped my boundaries a couple of times. I appreciate all of you, and thank you, Don Barris. I appreciate you. Yeah, so it was a grand old time, and I actually, the following morning after the Ding Dong Show, I got a text from a casting director that invited me to do a rap video next week on Thursday. I'm supposed to be going to Philadelphia next week. My grandmother's birthday's coming up, so I kind of had something kind of aligning with that, and I had expressed that to her. But yeah, it was pretty cool to have my first casting director reach out to me. I looked her up, and she's got a couple of people connected with her. It seems like she's got a couple followers on her Instagram, such as Dane Cook, Dave Attell, who else is in there? Whitney Cummings. So it seems like a couple home run hitters, and got to pay my dues before I reach to that level or status. I got to put in more work, prove myself a little bit more, because so far I'm just a chump. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to lie, guys, my podcast has not been that strong lately, but I'm working on it. Like I said, I keep saying I'm going to bring guests on here, and I eventually will. I'm packing right now for Los Angeles. and I just put my notice in, like I said, like a week and a half ago. And yeah, I'm making the transition to Los Angeles. It's going to be an interesting journey, adventure, and ride. I'm still looking for a place, so if anybody's listening to this, I believe my phone number is connected to my website from phillytocali.com. If anybody knows of any places, probably like studios or something, that would probably be best for me right now. So, anyways, after the Ding Dong show, which is on a Monday night, the following day, Don Barris reached out to me, and he said he still wanted me to do his podcast, and I was like, yes. It's a big deal for me to do his podcast, so I did a solid, probably a little over an hour podcast with Don Barris on Tuesday, which, if you tune in tomorrow to Simply Don the Podcast Network, yeah, it's a full interview with me, and it talks about pretty much what's been going on in my life for the past 4 or 5 months, give or take. And I know all of you have been kind of getting some kind of like, a perspective as to what's been going on with my life, with what I've been posting on social media. My account, Davey Babesy, on Instagram, I deactivated it just because, I mean, that's an old account, and I've posted so much mundane things on there that I figure I would have something more relevant. So you can follow me on social media on David Michael Knutson or from Philly to Cali. So I did Don Barris's podcast, and it was really, really cool. So I show up and I see a few people there. Joe Rogan had just interviewed this home run hitter. I forget his name, but he was there at the Comedy Store. Like I said, I'm terrible with names, but I saw Jeff Ross. Jeff Ross walked right by me, and I saw Kate Quigley. I saw her. I got to meet her, shake her hand, and then I met her friend. I think her friend's name was, I'm messing it up, Nicole. But yeah, Kate seemed like a really, really nice person, and barely even got to talk to her. I didn't mean to interrupt her and her friend, but I got to introduce myself. And this is all while I'm waiting to do the podcast with Don Barris. And yeah, I saw Brian Redband. So anyways, Don Barris, I follow him to the basement of the Comedy Store, which was amazing. I took a picture of me in the podcast room with headphones on, and that's when pretty much all the magic happened. I was a little nervous because I've never been a guest host on someone's podcast show, so this is the very first time I got to do a guest host spot on somebody else's show. So, Don Barris, thank you, sir. You popped my guest host cherry, my friend. And I had so much fun because, I've always seen Don on screen, and he interviews me for like a little over an hour, so it was cool. And after the podcast, which I will post tomorrow a link, or even, whatever I need to post, so that you guys can go ahead and see the name of the podcast that I'm going to be on, but Simply Don the Podcast Network is the name of it. So after the podcast was done, everything went pretty smooth. Like, it was just talking to, like, a friend, to be honest. Like, that's what it felt like. I didn't feel like I was being put on the spot at all. I just felt like I was connecting with an old friend because, this is someone I've been following for many years. So anyways, after it got done, we went to somewhere in the back of the Comedy Store. Don just tells me to follow him, and, I felt pretty cool. I mean, Don's one of the OGs at the Comedy Store. Like, that guy is big pimpin' there. So I follow him, and then he takes me to the back, and I see, like, Brian Redband and, like, a few other people just kind of hanging out, chilling. I kind of wanted to take, like, a selfie picture and be like, just hanging with the boys, but, I didn't do that because it seemed kind of lame. And anyways, yeah, I was basically hanging out with Don, Brian Redband, and a few other people. I can't remember their name, and they were all just kind of casually talking to one another, and I just realized I'm kind of in that environment, and if nobody knows who Brian Redband is, he was like the original side-by-side dude when Joe Rogan first started doing his podcast. So yeah, I mean, a lot of these people have been in the industry for a very long time, and they're not afraid to put themselves out there, and they've been doing it for Like I said, I have got a lot to learn. But I'm willing to put myself out there, you know what I mean? I don't have anything to lose, and you know, I'm trying to pursue acting. Like I'm doing the best that I can to reach out to an agent that can sign me up. But like I said, I recently enrolled into or submitted an application, and I spoke to a wonderful person by the name of Cameron at the Beverly Hills School Playhouse in Beverly Hills, California, and I spoke with her for maybe about an hour. She gave me her time that day as I was filling out an application form. And I gave her my full story. I told her, you know, I haven't really had any acting classes or anything like that. I told her I'm trying to get into comedy, romance, drama. And yeah, I mean, as for stand-up goes, I'll give it a shot. You know, I think maybe I'll do well in both acting and stand-up, but I think acting is more of a forte that I would like to apply myself in, but stand-up's fun. Like, all those people in that environment, I would just really enjoy being surrounded by. That same night I was at the Comedy Store, I just see Joey Diaz on stage just kicking ass, taking names, you know what I mean? And he's one of my favorites too. Like, he just nails it every time. And yeah, so I recently had been emailing back and forth with Cam at the Beverly Hills Playhouse, and she wants me to do the orientation. So I'm in the transition of, you know, taking some acting classes at the Beverly Playhouse School Playhouse in Los Angeles or Southern California. I did get audited at the Beverly Hills Playhouse School of Acting out here in San Francisco. Probably back in November of 2018 by my buddy Eric David Tippett, who's killing it. By the way, Eric, keep it up, brother. Eric's the one that recommended that I go to this school. I met him at my gym, which I will be hitting the gym very soon after I'm done doing this podcast. But yeah, it's kind of going to be an interesting new little lifestyle. I'm still looking for work in the Los Angeles area, but I'm still going to be doing these podcasts recurring. I'm going to try every Friday, even though I'm slacking, and today's Saturday. But like I said, I would like to try and get some guests on my show. So I might even be releasing multiple podcasts in 1 week, just because that's what the audience deserves, rather than hearing me talk about the same stuff over and over again. But if I can get some guests on my show, I do have a couple people in mind that I would like to have on my show. One of my buddies, he's in the Philippines right now, but he does music, and he's conveying a positive message to the world, and, you know, I think that, you know, that would probably be an interesting person to interview. Amazing wrestler, too. I've seen him wrestle. And yeah, so I'm currently in San Francisco. I'm going to be back at the Ding Dong Show on Monday, meeting up with Don Barris and the rest of the crew of the Ding Dong Show. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I really just like to be in that type of environment of people and around a lot of talent. So I'm very blessed and honored that Don's given me the opportunity. And yeah, I'll be completely honest. I mean, as much as I'd like to say this podcast sports oriented, it's really not, you know. But I did watch, I know this was weeks ago, the John Jones fight, as well as the Woodley fight. USADA's one hell of a fighter, and so is Woodley. But, you know, I'm way past overdue with that. My timing's off with that, but both of those fights were amazing. I'm not too sure who the next fight with John Jones is going to be, but anytime I see John Jones fight, it's an exciting fight, because that guy is one of the best fighters I've ever seen. Everybody knows it. Now, I did make a post earlier where someone had posted probably like a year ago, or maybe like months ago, where they'd want to see Anthony Joshua and John Bones Jones do an MMA fight. In a boxing match, Anthony Joshua has it in the bag. That's just how he rolls. Ow. Yeah, so my finger's really cold, so when you do this with a cold finger, it hurts. But yeah, so if you want my 2 cents on Anthony Joshua versus John Jones in an MMA fight, I put my money on Anthony Joshua. He's bigger, and I think he's more powerful. I hate to say it, but John Jones, I think it would be a 50-50 toss-up between the both of them, to be honest. But if I had to choose one, it would probably be Anthony Joshua. I was listening to Below the Belt with Brendan Schaub, and I heard recently that one of my favorite boxers, Deontay Wilder, I guess he signed on with Showtime, which means that apparently Deontay Wilder, from what I've heard through the grapevine, through Brendan Schaub, and whatever news that he got it from, that Deontay Wilder does not have a manager. He's his own agent under Showtime. So it's very possible that Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua could be fighting whenever that comes up. Who do I have my money on in a boxing match between Wilder and Joshua? That's a toss-up too. That's a 50-50 toss-up. I love Deontay Wilder. That guy has got heart. They both do. Like I said, Deontay Wilder, one of the, to my knowledge, one of the youngest Olympic boxers. Back in 2008, he won the bronze medal at the Beijing Olympics. You know what I mean? And apparently, he had only been boxing for a year and a half. I was watching a partial documentary. I finished halfway through it yesterday on Deontay Wilder. He's from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And I love him. Like, he's probably one of my favorite boxers. He's definitely one of my favorite boxers. He's got 42 knockouts with a draw between him and Tyson Fury, which Tyson Fury, to my knowledge, 86-inch reach. Deontay Wilder's got an 84-inch reach. If you guys didn't see the fights between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, it was magic. That was worth every penny that I spent. I spent like $70 to watch that fight, and it was worth every penny. One of the best heavyweight boxing matches I've seen in a while. Deontay Wilder clocked Tyson Fury with 2 heavy punches. If none of you know who Deontay Wilder is, he is a powerhouse. Like, his punches are deathly. You know what I mean? And like I said, he won the bronze medal in 2008, the Beijing Olympics, and he's just killing it now, you know? And apparently he was in talks with fighting Anthony Joshua prior to the Tyson Fury fight, where Anthony Joshua said, okay, put $50 million out there and I'll take the fight. And apparently Eddie Hearn, which is the manager for Anthony Joshua, I don't know what happened there, but he never took up the offer from Deontay Wilder when Wilder put up the money. So that fight actually never happened. But the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight was magic. It was beautiful, and that fight happened a couple months ago. But yeah, so I guess Deontay's with Showtime right now, and we'll see what happens. I'm not sure, you know. I don't follow it to a T, but I really enjoy watching him fight. But yeah, in the documentary with Deontay Wilder, he's just killing it. You know, he was like, you know, shooting for the stars they go to his old high school where he was pretty avid in both basketball and football. And, you know, he was like one of the, like a really lanky dude, like 6'6", but like pencil thin. And a lot of people underestimated this man. And boy, like, you can't judge a book by its cover. You know, not only is he 6'6", you know, and he doesn't look like he's got any power, but he's one of the most powerful boxers out there. If you watch him hit, he's one of the hardest hitters. Once he clicks anybody's jaw, it's game over, you know? I think it was Ortiz that he fought. He took a beating from Ortiz. I think that fight might have been about a year ago. And Ortiz mauled him, you know, got him in the face tons of times and didn't get called, but he can take a hit. Deontay Wilder can take a hit. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that, you know, covering of that sports. But I would love to see like another matchup with like a boxing legend and an MMA legend. it wouldn't get any better than seeing Jon Jones and Anthony Joshua fight. I mean, Anthony Joshua, not only is he one of the toughest boxers in his division, I mean, but he's a pretty boy, you know what I mean? Like, he's a good-looking dude. And he's got that British accent going for him, so he's got the best of three worlds. But yeah, I really enjoy watching all of those fighters. And then I heard one of my favorite fighters, Mirko Cro Cop, after the Roy Nelson fight, you know, sending my prayers and wishes to Mirko. I heard he had suffered a stroke right after that fight. So apparently he's pulling out of fighting. I've never seen anybody within, you know, just a small handful of people take a beating as hard as Mirko Cro Cop. But yeah, so I guess enough with MMA talk, but yeah, transitioning right now. I'm moving, I'm packing my things. I literally just cleaned my car out, so I got a box full of things sitting there. Took about 100 pounds of stuff out of my car, put it in a box, and I'm currently in the process of packing my things and figuring out how I'm going to get to Los Angeles on Monday to make it to the Ding Dong show for Monday night, and then yeah, figure out what to do from there. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what's going on right now. I've been running a lot of errands. I'm hitting the gym again. It's been a couple weeks that I've been out of the gym, and yeah, you know, hopefully everybody else in the world out there is doing just fine. It would be nice to have some interaction with other people in here, though. Like if I had like a sound guy, like being like, "All right, Dave, if I had my own soundboard, that'd be magic too." I would do a lot of big gulp say, "Welp, see you later," when it was appropriate, and then I would also have a soundboard for what would be another one. I don't know. I'll play it by ear. But yeah, Ding Dong show on Monday. I got acting classes coming up, but I got to do orientation first. And yeah, I'm looking for spots in Los Angeles. So anybody listening to this podcast, you want to reach out to me from Philly to Cali at gmail.com. You can email me and let me know if there's any open slots. You know, even if it is in your uncle's basement, that's fine. You know, most of the spots I was staying at recently was in people's basements. Was I chained up? I'll neither confirm or deny. I can't really afford, like, you know, expensive hotels when I'm coming out to Los Angeles, but I've met a lot of cool and interesting people, that's for sure. Made a lot of new friends. Networking. So yeah, I'm trying to get the ball rolling. I will have more guest hosts on my show, just to keep you all entertained, as you well deserve, and as I should be treating this podcast. I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears getting this thing running. So yeah, moving forward, I'm going to be covering more current events, more sporting events, and personal life, about what's going on in my personal life. Oh, another fight I wanted to cover was the Ben Askren and Robbie Lawler fight, too. The same night that Jon Jones and Woodley fought. That was an intense fight. Robbie Lawler, I would not want to get cornered by that guy. Same thing with Ben Askren, but I would love to see the both of them fight again. So, back to MMA, cutting it back off. If none of you all knew, Ben Askren actually won that fight based on submission. Herb Dean was the one that called it, but I would like to see the both of them fight again, and I think if they fought again, I think Robbie Lawler would have it. You heard it from me first. Alright guys, thank you for listening. I will definitely keep these weekly podcasts up and running, and I will have more topics to talk about for sure, but I just want to keep you on the same level as me, let you all know where I'm headed, and trying to pursue the entertainment industry and the quote-unquote. It's all perspective how you look at it. American dream can be anything. You know, what if you have a passion for building miniature refrigerators? You know what I mean? No. So yeah, I'm gonna try acting. I would like to do some vocal coaching, work on my singing voice, and yeah, you know, it's a short podcast for today. I'm looking forward to a couple of movies. I had already seen Captain Marvel, great movie. I'm looking forward to the Avengers Endgame, and I'm looking forward to the X-Men Phoenix movie. A lot of exciting things coming up. I am the biggest Marvel dork and DC dork for sure. But yeah, I mean, this is all in hopes that I can eventually snowball into maybe a DC or a Marvel character. DC is owned by what? Warner Brothers, and then Marvel is a Walt Disney company now. And now Fox Studios. Like, Disney. Hey, what's your angle? Anyways, thank you for listening. From Philly to Cali. Much love to y'all. Keep y'all posted with another podcast next week. That's about it. Boom. Love ya.